Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Joe, your cooking guide. Today, we're gonna make a quinoa, but made in the style of a risotto. And we're gonna pair that with some pan-seared scallops in a really simple purple potato and sweet corn salsa. So hang out with me for a bit, and let's get into this recipe. We're gonna start to put together our quinoa. So I have a saute pan here that I've heated up. We're gonna put in a little bit of olive oil, some chopped shallot, a little bit of chopped garlic, and we don't really want to brown this too much. We just want it to be translucent, so more of a sweat as opposed to a really hard saute. Right? To that, we're going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in our quinoa. And what I want to do here is to lightly coat the quinoa and coat it with the oil. And we also want to slightly toast it. All right, so we're just going to kind of let that sit in the pan for a little bit. All right, so our quinoa's been sauteing here for about 3-4 minutes, and you can see it's slightly toasted. The bottom of the pan is dried up and it's starting to build a little bit of color, and that's exactly what we want. And then, just like we would do with a risotto, we're going to deglaze with a little bit of white wine. And that deglazing really picks up all that fond from the bottom of the pan. Right, so we're going to let that reduce down, and then after that comes down, we're going to add in some vegetable stock. And the ratio for quinoa is 2-to-1. So for instance, in our recipe today, we're using 1 cup of quinoa. We're going to add in 2 cups of vegetable stock. And we'll add a little bit of salt, touch more black pepper, and we're just going to let that slowly simmer for about 10 to 12 minutes. All right, so I have a little bit of olive oil in a hot pan, and we're going to add some zucchini. Right, let's get it all in there. Some yellow squash, and some red pepper. All right, so we're just going to start moving that around, and we're also going to add in some shallots. And then also I just made a little quick little bouquet garni just with a little fresh thyme to tied it up with a little butcher's twine, and we're going to add that in as well. Right? And just start slowly moving that around. We actually want to get a little color on these vegetables, and then what we want to do is add in some chopped tomato as well as a little bit of tomato paste. Right, so we're going to just take that and start sauteing that around a little bit. Now you really want to ensure that tomato paste gets incorporated with all of the vegetables. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to season up these scallops with just a little bit of salt and pepper. Right? And I'm just going to take them, flip them over on the other side, and just use some of that salt that's already on the plate. A pretty hot pan, a little bit of olive oil, and we really want to make sure that we get the bottom of the pan coated with the oil. And then we're just going to take our scallops and just start laying them in. Right? Nice and easy. And these are going to cook really quickly. They're pretty small, right? And then also, while that's going, I want to add in a couple pats of butter. Also have a little bit of fresh thyme. All right, and then what we're going to do is just flip these guys over, and then really I'm just going to very quickly baste these scallops. and really just turn the heat off. I'm gonna leave these in the pan to finish cooking. All right, so we're gonna put together our final component of the dish, which is our corn and potato salsa. So I have some blanched sweet corn, and then we have some Peruvian purple potatoes, and I just diced these and sauteed them in a pan until they were tender. Some red onion, and I also have a little bit of cilantro puree. So I had a bunch of cilantro left. I put it in the blender with a little bit of olive oil and water, put it in some small ice cube trays, froze it, and then put them in a little bag. And whenever I need some, I just take a cube out. Works out great. A little bit of olive oil, some salt, and a little bit of black pepper. Very simple. A little bit of lime juice also. And then what we'll do, just kind of toss that together. We have the quinoa that I had steamed for about 12 minutes. I would say it's about 80% done. And to that, what we want to do is add in those vegetables, the zucchini, the yellow squash, tomatoes, peppers. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in a little bit more vegetable stock. And we're going to just start to swirl that around, get it all incorporated, because now what we want to do is we want to start to finish up the remainder of the quinoa. The stock that I had added has reduced down. The quinoa is now really tender. And what we're going to do is add a touch more stock, and then we're going to add in some heavy cream, some unsalted butter. Just probably about 2-3 tablespoons. And we want to get those incorporated. Stir it around. And then we're going to finish this up with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Right, and I'm just going to turn the heat off. Incorporate the Parmesan cheese. We are going to start plating up our Quinotto here. So I'm just going to lay it down. You see how nice and creamy, and adding the cream and that butter in really added a lot of nice texture and consistency to it. And then we're going to take some of that corn and purple potato salsa and just start laying some across our Quinotto here. Beautiful. And then we're going to add some of those beautiful seared scallops and just kind of lay, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 over the top. Beautiful. And then what I did is, just for a little whimsical touch, I took that brown butter from the scallops and just added a little bit of stock to it. And we're just going to use some of that as a little sauce. Put a little bit around the plate. And there you go. That is our Quinotto with some seared scallops and our corn and Peruvian potato salsa.